Welcome to DMCP 365 and our Disciple Making University. This is Course 101, our Foundation series. And this video is simply about why in the world should you listen to me and what is DMCP 365. I'm not going to take long, don't want to bore you with who I am, but I just thought maybe a little background would help you understand why I might be able to help you somewhat. I became a Christian late teens, early 20s, don't have that exact day. But I just started devouring the Bible, books, asking questions, and it just seemed obvious to me that we are supposed to go and we are supposed to be making disciples. And so I tried all kind of stuff to make disciples. I went door to door. I passed out tracts. I did street stuff. I drove the vans to pick up the kids to bring them to church. I even started something called Excel, which all those letters stood for something. I don't even remember what they stood for now, but I would go into neighborhoods. It was just me by myself and trying to serve those neighborhoods. What I was getting was to make disciples. It seemed like you're supposed to gain a bunch of knowledge. So I was gaining all kind of knowledge, and then I was passing that on to other people, trying to help them get more knowledge. Because I thought that seems to be what a disciple looks like, is getting more knowledge, and that will help me. But as I taught people and I got more knowledge and I was trying what I thought I could do to make disciples, it just wasn't working. I'm looking around and like hardly anybody is sharing the gospel, sharing their faith with anybody. And so I was frustrated for a long time. And then in the early 2000s, I was introduced to an organization called a class called the Perspectives on the World Christian Movement. And I went through that class. And I got to tell you, after the first night, I think it was a 3 or 4 hour class that first night. It was 16 weeks. I came out of there with two things. One, I was just mad because they began walking from Genesis all the way through Revelation, showing a common thread that the Bible is about God making His name great and His salvation known in all the world so that He would be worshiped by people from every group of people in the world. And I thought, I've been a Christian for over 20 years. Nobody told me this. And the other thing I got out of the Perspectives course later on was that I was introduced to this group of people who are going into areas of the world where it is dangerous to be a believer. And they are going in and the gospel is exploding in thousands and tens of thousands and sometimes into the millions of people in these very dangerous areas where it is to be a Christian are becoming believers and then turning around and making more disciples. I was totally fascinated. I mean, I was jumping out of my seat going, this is what I've been looking for 20 years. And so I began devouring information about that. And so I've been on a quest since then. I've been on a quest since I became a believer right around 1980 to learn how to make disciples better. And since the early 2000s, I have found what it looks like to really effectively and confidently make disciples. And I've been on a quest to get better and better and better with that. So that's kind of my story. And DMCP 365 came out of that. Because I figured if there are people like me who are Christians and know there's more to being a Christian than just going to church and just hanging out and reading your Bible and debating all these theological things, if there's something inside of you that says, I know I should be out making disciples, somebody help me, but you can't find help. That's what I wanted to create, something to help those people. I've been working to make disciples. I've done it in rural areas. I've done it in urban areas. I've done it in the United States. I've done it in prisons here in the United States and in Latin America. I've done it in Latin America. I have worked with people who are from countries where it's called closed countries, countries that are essentially closed to the gospel. I've worked with those. I have worked with people who are living in the world where it's closed to the gospel and trying to make disciples there. So I've got a bit of a varied background, and that's what I'm trying to bring here. DMCP 365 is really about reaching people like me who was just begging for help and learning what it looks like to be an obedient follower of Jesus and make disciples, but couldn't find any help. And then to reach those people and help them and to build up an army of 100% sold out followers of Jesus who are willing to give up everything for Him, including their lives if they have to, in order to make God's name great and His salvation known in all the world so that He will be worshiped by people from every group of people in the world around the throne in heaven forever and ever. And by doing that, we will see the we will see our ultimate goal of DMCP 365 is to see the completion of the Great Commission in our lifetime. And before you think that's impossible, I just want to throw this out to you. Do you know if you start with just one believer, there's only one believer on the earth, and this year you reach and disciple and make one new follower of Jesus. So at the end of year 1, you have 2 believers. And then at the end of the next year, both of you make a new believer, so you have 4 total believers. And then at the end of that following year, the 4 of you each make one new believer, so you have 8 believers. Now you have 8 believers. And if every year, each follower of Jesus, each disciple only makes one new disciple each year, do you know in less than 34 years, the number of disciples will be more than the population of the earth? And we know not everybody's going to become a disciple. So my point is, completing the Great Commission in our lifetime, in your lifetime, is not beyond the realm of possibility. At the moment, what it seems to be beyond the realm of is followers of Jesus actually getting out there and doing their job. So that's what DMCP 365 is all about. And that, I hope, will give you a little confidence that I know a little bit about what I'm talking about. And just to further your confidence even more, none of what I'm teaching you is theory. What I'm teaching you is all the stuff that I have learned from learning from others and then taking what I'm learning from them, still going out to this day, going out, making disciples, and then finding out what works for me, what works in our setting, what doesn't, tweaking things, and then coming back, and that's what I'm sharing with you. What I've learned from others, then gone out and tried, and what I found out works, doesn't work, and how I've had to change things to make them work so that it works for me. And that's what I want to present to you, what I've learned, so that you can then take that, go out, begin to use it, and then tweak it so that it works most effectively for you. And I will see you on the next video.